You do not have to answer them, or you can choose to answer them. But I guess we'll just start with the first one here on the list. So if you want to tell us about a personal accomplishment that you're most proud of.
I think for me, honestly, would be to even be here having this conversation with you. And what I mean by that is I'm a first generational student. So to even be able to have this education, to be able to be, to say that I'm an ISU student is a lot because my parents, they didn't even finish high school. And for them to like, they didn't have no idea about the college process. So like the college process, like filling out FAFSA, scholarships and everything was all on me. And so like that's what I'm really proud of is that being able to say that like my third year of like college and that next I'm on time to graduate and then like I have a good GPA and then I'm here like even having this position here like president of ALAS is like even like a huge accomplishment, but it all started because I like took the initiative and I just told myself that I was going to go to college. So that's always something that I'm really proud of because not only is it like a huge step for me, but it's also another huge step for my family. You know, like my parents see that they raised someone who is able and capable of doing this, but my siblings also look up to me and say that like, hey, if she did it, we can do it too.
Yeah, I'm sure they're so proud of you. That's awesome. You know, the fact that you're able to get this far. It's great.
I think for myself, I definitely can go off of what Jimena just said with the accomplishments of just being in a 4 year university itself. But I think I'm most actually proud of the initiative and the way I've used my voice on campus. I started a language inclusion project on campus my sophomore year of college, and I started it with the preview and orientation process or program. And I basically just introduced the idea of having Spanish speaking materials and in the future having Spanish sessions for strictly those parents and students that Spanish is their first language. So this past summer was the first summer that we had Spanish speaking materials available to students, families, and guests. I personally created all of the materials in English and then completely translated them into Spanish.
Wow.
So I worked with the preview and orientation office to do that. For future, what I see for the future in this project and what I'm currently working on right now is incorporating other languages that are represented on campus but underrepresented in terms of resources that are provided to those families and guests when that preview and orientation process does come around. So right now I'm just working on recruiting those students because I am a senior and I'm going to graduate in May. So I just want to pass on that project so it can keep getting worked on and we can keep making some progress and being more inclusive towards other languages on campus. So I think that one is it's like my baby. It's my project on campus. So I'm
Yeah,
very proud of that one.
that is what this university needs. So
Yes.
kudos to you, really.
I say I would also have to second what Jimena said when it comes to accomplishments of highlighting my identity as a first generation student. But in terms of like what I've grasped from like the college experience is genuinely getting out there and being involved. I would say that before I was typically one to keep in my shell, but definitely like accomplishment wise, just being able to sort of break that shell and being involved and actually participating in movements and stuff that are going on campus to be like, oh, I was a part of something and was able to accomplish that like beyond academics that are here and when it comes to college.
Yeah, absolutely. We want your voice to be heard, so we're very happy to hear that. So the second question, if you would like to answer it, is what do you want to do as a career when you graduate and why?
So like for me, I want to become a teacher. I'm an elementary education major, so I want to become a teacher, specifically in areas where there's high Latinx population. Because my whole life I grew up with a lot of teachers butchering my name, and they would see my name and they would look at it and they would get scared. They wouldn't like take the time to learn it, they would disrespect my name and who I was by asking if I had a nickname, asking if it was okay if they could just pronounce it the way they've always been pronouncing it. And for a huge part of my life, I did let them do that. I did let them pronounce it wrong. I did let them like give me a nickname because I just didn't want to have that battle. So like now I want to be able to be in those communities and be able to say like, hey, like I respect who you are, I respect your name, and I want to be able to say it. I want to be able to like relate to you. So that's why I want to like work in somewhere where it's like Latinx population wise, so then they can see themselves represented too. Because as we all know that like we have a lot of like white teachers, specifically like white female teachers. So I want them to be able to see themselves represented and their teachers, you know, and be like, hey, my teacher did this, so I'm gonna go out there and do the same thing.
Yeah, that's so important, and I think it's something that's definitely overlooked. So that's great that you're taking that initiative.
For myself, I'm very, I don't know what the word is. I feel like there's a word for it, but I kind of just take opportunities as they come. So I don't have like a set plan as to what I want to do after graduation, but I know I'm a business administration management major with a minor in international business. So I just know I'm going to business. Down the road, I hope that I'm able to represent a company or corporation in Latinx countries using my international business minor. So that's kind of what I have in mind, and eventually also be an entrepreneur. So
That's awesome. You guys got big dreams. I love it.
So I'm a social work major, and my idea of my career has shifted with my perspective of where I am in life. Initially, I came to ISU with the idea of being a school social worker and, you know, working with like something here in Bloomington Normal with all, okay, no, yikes. But yeah, I initially just came with to the idea that I wanted to be a school social worker, but then with the experiences like of myself and my family, the idea of being like an inpatient social worker, which is someone who deals with like sort of like case management and like counseling in the hospital setting for individuals that are like, sent to inpatient at hospital settings. So that's something that interested me. But my idea of where I want to land with social work is still not narrow enough for me to decide, but also I'm just getting my bachelor's, so I can figure that out when I get my master's, hopefully. But I essentially do want to, like, my end goal at some point is to either have like my own practice with as a licensed clinical social worker or teach like as a social worker at an institution.
That's awesome. Very cool. So our next question. So how has either ISU or ALAS, if you want to talk about the organization, how have they assisted you in your career journey?
Well, like my freshman year when I got involved with ALAS, I clicked a lot with the current secretary for that year, who was Erica Jimenez, who just graduated last year. And I was able to connect with her because we were both education majors. And the way that like she's been able to help me out a lot career wise is that like I like still like they like right now like I'm going with just what like they tell me what classes I need to take, but I don't really know what's in those classes. So then I would always ask her like, hey, like how does like this work and everything? And even like thinking about next year with student teaching, I like talked to her and I was like, what's the best option that I need to have like that I need to do for student teaching for me to be able to like have the job that I want. And because she teaches in Chicago too, so she was like, if you ever need help with like getting a job here in Chicago or even like in the school that she teaches, she's like, just let me know, and like we'll work on it together. So I feel like with Atlas, like personally, like I've been able to connect with a lot of people and meet a lot of people who are like education majors who are also Latinx and also want to work in the same communities. So like that's like helped us a lot because like now I'm able to see like sorry. Now I'm able to like network and connect with those people who are graduated and are actually in the field now and being able to get their perspective and like thinking like, oh hey, like I did this, but I think honestly this would have been better for me. So I definitely appreciate her like taking the time for her to like speak with me and everything because now it's like now I know that like what are the next couple steps that I need to take in order to like secure what I want.
Yeah. Awesome.
For me, I think in terms of ISU, I feel like it's really prepared me for what the workforce is going to look like and feel like, because it is a predominantly white institution, and business is a white male dominated field. So ISU has, not that it's been like a positive thing or something easy to go through, but it has made me uncomfortable. It's made me stand out in class. It's made me find ways to use my voice without just being like stereotyped, I guess, and being like that angry Latina or that Latina that just shows too much pride or anything like that. So I think it's just definitely made me just be uncomfortable, which is ultimately what I'm going to experience in the workforce, being a Latina woman. So that's what I have gotten from ISU. As for ALAS,
Don't ever stop on your journey.
Yeah.
Just keep pushing back for sure.
I think, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I think to like go off of what you just said too, though, I want to shine light on how stressful and draining it can actually be, to be those students on campus who are continuously trying to educate others and trying to get people on board and kind of shine light on specific things that you yourself know because it's your culture and it's how you grew up and it's what you've experienced and what you haven't experienced. I think it's important for everyone to know that it takes a toll on students to be as active as we are in an organization that we are in. So yeah, just always keeping that in mind also. I think it's something that not consciously but unconsciously people they congratulate us for all the work that we've done, but also just keeping in mind that work has also like taken a toll on us as just individuals. So
Yeah, I would have to piggyback on that too. Like I mentioned earlier, in my career, in my class, like in my classmates are mostly white females who live in the suburbs, who live in an area of privilege, and it can be tiring to be that person that's like, hey, your perspective is like completely wrong. Like that's not how we should view like any like BIPOC like students, and it can be really tiring, like draining too, because it's like we don't want to be that constant people to educate people because people can easily do research. We live in a world where we have access to technology, where we have access to Google, and Google can like answer that. You can pick up a book and read about someone's experiences like that, and it can be really tiring for us to be constantly being that person and being like, hey, like no, that's wrong, like hey, no, that like offended me, like that's not okay. It can be really, really tiring, and it's like, like as much as like I'm passionate about everything and I love being able to talk to people, it also can be draining because it's like, as much as you want to talk to people and educate things about like your perspective, some people are just never going to get that, and it could just be draining on you and it can take a toll.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
I don't know where to bounce back from that. But I guess, yeah, like my field is just like predominantly white females as well in social work, and my experience like with that is, I guess like with not any individual because I can't speak on everyone's half, but I think like something that I guess ISC sort of like shocked me with is like the cultural shock, like coming here, just being from like a high school that was predominantly BIPOC individuals, and then coming here to barely seeing one or two other people in a classroom just like me. And it's still something that I feel and is consistent even in my junior year being in my field, like in my major. I would have thought that there would have been more BIPOC individuals, but that is not the case. So I'm like trying to figure out my place and like where I would fit and belong in my career, or just like in my major, or simply my classes or ISU. So I would say that ALAS definitely provided an outlet for me to see myself in a multitude of ways. So just being able to see other people like me and having like that encouragement of like that home-like feeling that Daisy was mentioning, is something that Alas has definitely brought to the table. As a social work major, we understand that there are a lot of stressors when it comes to individuals, like the ones that we stated when it comes to just trying to not break, but sort of like dismantle systems and the emotional labor that it can come with marginalized individuals and having to speak up. So self-care is something that is really like touched on and talked about when it comes to social workers. So I would say just also having like a designated time and day. Like I also started my freshman year where I could have gone to events or meetings, anything like that, whether it was social or educational. Like it definitely made me sort of forget that I was even at an institution or like I had an exam tomorrow or anything like that. So just being able to provide sort of like an outlet where I would be able to kind of forget that I was even at school is something that Alas has definitely provided for me.
That's awesome. Very cool. I'm glad. So are you guys familiar with the Latinx American Heritage Month?
Yes.
So,
We would prefer not to call it Hispanic Heritage Month. We would like to go with the Latinx.
yeah, do you want to maybe talk about, why that's important?
Oh, it's very important because a lot of these countries, well, that's the reason why we celebrate like Latinx American Month is because a lot of these countries got liberation from like who they were being colonized, and like particularly we're Mexican. So yesterday was Mexicans Independence Day, and we got our independence from Spain. And the word Hispanic includes people who speak Spanish, so that includes the Spaniards. And like for us, it doesn't sit right that like we do this like month of celebration of like being liberated and having that freedom, and it includes the people who like oppressed us and took away our freedom.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think, that's very important, that people know that, know the difference, most definitely. So, I guess, does the month mean anything to you in particularly?
I mean, like 365, 24/7, like I'm proud of being Latinx, I'm proud of being Mexican, but I think this month is like, just like where you just kind of like show it off like a little bit more and you kind of like tell people like, hey, like, yesterday we had like a little El Grito thing, yesterday where we were parading around the quad and we were doing like what Mexico would do, which is called El Grito, and so like we were just screaming like Viva Mexico, and then we met here for a couple snacks and a little bit of celebration. So I feel like this whole month long is just like a big like celebration of being able to like say like, hey, I'm Mexican and I'm proud of that. Like yesterday was nothing but Mexicans at that quad chanting like Viva Mexico. And I thought to me that was like very powerful because I wouldn't have pictured that happening my freshman year. And the way that we've come along so much has meant a lot. And now that we have a space too, we have a space where we can put our flags up and even like display that it is Latinx American Month and that we have that. And then, so I just feel like right now it's like where like you get your pride, but you turn it up like 100 notches and like you just get to show it off even a little bit more. So that's what it means to me.
I think I'm Latina every day. I don't shed my skin daily or anything. The color of my skin doesn't change and my background doesn't change. So I'm definitely conscious of my heritage and I'm conscious of my identities. I think just to emphasize what Jimena just said, I think the month is just to kind of put out there like this is our heritage, like this is who we are, but I definitely partake in the celebrations, but like I just mentioned, I'm Latina every day, so I celebrate myself every day and my people and my culture. So
I think this month for me in general just means visibility for Latinx individuals. I can't say that like visibility can also be exclusive to who Latinx individuals can be. Many times in the media, Latinx individuals are, I don't want to use the term white passing, but a lot more with Eurocentric features, if that's the way to put it, whether that be like on media like TV, like actors, many times our visibility is highlighted in that way, but I have seen that visibility for Latinx individuals when it comes to this month has progressively transformed into including a lot more individuals. I think also in terms of what Latinx means, I think a lot of people when they think of Latino, Latina, Latina, or Latinx individuals, they think immediately of Mexicans. And that is such a broad umbrella, not a broad umbrella, but yes, it's just one umbrella under the broad term of Latinx that we are highlighting. So I think that being able to showcase like who I am again, as they mentioned, being Latinx is not something that just, oh, today I'm not, the next day I am. It's an identity that I strongly like rooted in and definitely know that will not change. So being able to also not only be proud of my heritage when it comes to being Mexican, but also being able to see other individuals and their representation and how they showcase their representation within this month is definitely something that I also look forward to.
That's great. It's great to hear, all this from you guys and, standing up for your heritage and for what you believe in. And, it's so important that people like us, understand stuff like that. So, keep going. Don't ever stop. So I guess that really concludes the interview. Is there anything else that you guys, would like to share about yourselves or about the organization, or maybe some upcoming events or anything like that?
I would just start with the basic information that Alice has been here. Next semester, we're going to be 50 years that we've been here at ISU. A lot of people don't know that, but yeah, we're about to be 50 next year. I don't know.
I think since you did say you're gonna be sharing the interview, I think it's just, to us, it's really important to be vocal about the fact that we're on campus every single day, just as everyone else is and all the other organizations, along with all the other MCOs, the Multicultural Center organizations. I understand that it is Latinx Heritage Month, but I think all organizations, especially not giving more attention to, but acknowledging that the more underrepresented organizations on campus are here every single day. It is our month, but we're here just every single day. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, that makes
I know what
sense.
you mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
And then, yeah, I don't know what else to say. Do you have anything, Michelle?
I think so.
And we do have an upcoming program
Yeah.
on Thursday,
On
the
Thursday.
23rd. It's called Nuestras Banderas. And we're just gonna be just celebrating Latinx Heritage Month and educating people on what it is exactly that we are celebrating and why. So that is our upcoming event for next week.
And then for any other updates, our social media or on the Redbird page, Redbird Life page is where you can find any other information.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you guys meeting with us today. It's we understand that there's a lot that goes on at ISU, and it's very important that you guys continue to use your voice to create change. So it's been great to hear all of your perspectives and what you're doing and your goals and your I hope that maybe the university becomes a little more diverse as far as our student population and our mindset in general. I personally can't imagine some of the things that you guys have experienced. So
Oh, and then I remembered what I was going to mention. I was also going to say that ISU, we still have a lot of more steps. They still have a lot of more steps to do to be able to say that they're inclusive to diverse students. We got this multicultural center and it's amazing and I love it and everything, but there is a lot of more steps that we need to be taking to be able to accommodate to those diverse students. We need to be able to acknowledge the fact that they have needs, the fact that you know, they're students and they're gonna face like a lot of more difficulties than other students, and we need to be able to have the resources and all that kind of stuff. So our work doesn't stop here just because we got our building, you know, we still got a lot of more steps that we have to take to be able to say that ISU is like diverse and it will like take, like, because like, yeah, we have this space and yeah, the staff is full of like people who are in the BIPOC community, right? I don't think we have anybody that's, yeah. So nothing better than like the BIPOC community. So that's great and everything, but we still have a lot of more diversity to be worked on because in my classes, I'm being taught about diversity from white professors. So we still have a lot of things that we have to work on, and there's still a lot of steps that we have to take. And so, yeah.
Well, we couldn't agree more, and you know, it's very, all these things are very important, and I personally do see that issue at ISU. So, you know, the fact that you guys are, you know, every day taking one step forward to create that change is very important, and I hope that you know, you guys have been here for 50 years. I hope you're here for 50 more, and things maybe start to change a little bit more by then, and hopefully maybe one day you can come back to the university and say that, you know, you made this positive lasting impact that's impacted students after you. So don't stop using your voices. You know, we appreciate your time. We appreciate all the information you've given us today. I think that concludes our interview. So we don't want to keep you any longer, and know it's Friday and you probably want to get out of here and eat some food.